Hello everyone! Today we are going to be working on future-proofing our content with AI video workflows. We're going to go in and explain how you can kind of do this and give you some more things you may not have known about OpusClip. Wanted to go ahead and say shout outs to everyone who is joining us, whether you are live in the replay. So what is a workflow? So I don't know if you can hear that, but my internet just reset. But anyway, an AI workflow in OpusClip. Let's go ahead and give you an idea. You've probably seen it, but you may not know exactly what it is. So there are different workflows you can use within OpusClip. Whether you are using the free trial or the free version or the pro version, there's lots you can do. And one of the newest workflows, which you may have heard about, is something that Opus is calling Agent Opus. If you do not know, there is currently a way that you could possibly get early access, and you might see a familiar face. And so I'll go ahead, put the link in the description, and I'll go ahead and share my screen and tell you what I'm talking about. This is the video. I'll go ahead and zoom in. This is the video I'm talking about. If you leave like, comment, and subscribe, you could get early access to this new workflow. This new workflow is quite impressive. You just go ahead and upload a video, an explainer video. You might see a familiar face. You can get an idea of what it can do here. This is one of the latest workflows, and that's what got us talking about workflows here today. So Agent Opus is really exciting. It's one of the newer workflows that they are working on, but we want to tell you what workflows you can start using here today. So on the OpusClip YouTube channel, which is where we're going to pull a lot of this from, you may know that you can bring in content no matter the form, right? So we just did a stream recently, 2 weeks ago with Roberto. We stream bi-weekly here on the channel. We're going to drop a link here. We're going to click Get Free Clips. And here's what we're going to talk about today when it comes to some of those workflows. So one thing I want to acknowledge, because I saw a comment recently that goes, they always talk about you could do this in OpusClip, but they don't talk about how many credits it takes. That's a fair critique, and I want to make sure I acknowledge this. So because this is a longer video, this is a live stream, the way the credits work is it is 1 credit per minute of video processing. So this one is 77 credits for what I'm going to be doing here today. Now, here are some of the things that you can work on. So on our workflow process for this, I want to focus on YouTube Shorts. So I want to make sure I have less than 30 seconds. I want all these options selected for what we're going to be focusing on here today. Hey, Chantel, great to see you here. And then, we're going to go in and choose our template. This will go on the OpusClip YouTube channel. So I want to make sure I use the 9x16 OpusClip template. And instead of using Clip Model Auto, we're going to do Clip Anything, which is their smartest one. Oh, familiar face with Mr. Nick Nimmin. So as we do here are the best results for our genres that fit our content. So we could just let the AI detect, and if you're trying to choose what workflow works best for you, you can let OpusClip AI detect the workflow. Or you can go in and go a little more granular. And there's a lot of control we have in this screen in particular, right? So if this was a podcast, we could go ahead and focus on the podcast. We can click here and we can tell it what we want in the template to focus on, right? So generate clips that highlight a key moment showcasing high emotions such as happiness, sadness, disappointment. Best moment, generate clips. Or maybe I'm looking for only specific things. Maybe I just want clips that compile the best scenes from the video. So if this is a podcast and I really want my workflow here with OpusClip to be even better, I could just focus on the one. Obviously, because of what I'm doing, I would like it to be all, but there are more options here. We could say that this is lifestyle, that this is a vlog, this is travel, food and cooking, beauty and fashion, right? There's fitness, there is sports, basketball, all the options you see on screen. Now, this is really an interview, I'd say. And because I'm interviewing Roberto, I want to make sure that that's the focus of this video, right? And let's say I want not so much an emotional story, but I would like top moments, viral snippets, and I would also like, let's say if I can do a singing compilation, I'm going to hit save, and we have that there. Now, we also have include specific moments, right? So we can even prompt our AI workflow even more. So if you're not sure how to prompt, there's a whole article here that will show you from Nick himself how you can do this, right? And the important part about this when it comes to any workflow we're doing in Opus is there are lots of helpful resources, right? So whether you know how to do it here, there's also Help Center by clicking here, which will open the Help Center. You can go up here and type in prompt manual. You can see the things I looked up recently. So I could say the following prompts, right? So these are things that really help when you're going with your AI workflow, and this can help you future proof, the content. If you're a tech channel for say, show me the host unboxing a new tech gadget and explaining its features. This is super helpful for shorts. Maybe if I do more like animal focus, maybe discovery, like the Discovery Channel might want something like a jaguar killing a snake, or what makes sense to that. For emotions, I can do clip my exciting reaction to tasting shawarma. Maybe I'm a mukbang YouTuber, or hey, maybe you're a craft tuber, right? And maybe there's a moment that you really want to find. You can find specific things. So maybe find all my photos of Spider-Man. If you know, you can find things like Emma Stone walking down the red carpet. There's so much you can do. Some of the prompts it says not to use, these are super helpful when it comes to understanding what it can and can't do. So I highly recommend you read these, but also clear wording, right? So you want to pick a subject. You want to pick a visual, an action, a sentiment, or sound. Try to be clear. So instead of saying create videos or putting in random things, if you are like, find all the gasps in this, right? Maybe I'm showing someone something new. These are all things. For me, I'm going to go ahead and use this one where I think it could definitely help out for this example. So I'm going to say find the moments that are most likely to go viral on social media. And what this is going to do is run us through. Now, each one of these different workflows for what we're trying to do will have a huge impact on the difference of how we do things, right? So I will say that you should really play around with them. Another thing you could try doing is using multiple. I've definitely done that. Like maybe this is, talking head, maybe there's commentary, maybe this is really a webinar. You're going to know your piece of content that you've put in Opus better than I will in this demo. So let me know what kind of content, whether you're watching live or in the replay, that you tend to run through Opus. I'm always loving hearing what people say. So again, just to recap, this is going to take 77 credits. We're going to hit get clips in one click. And then Opus is going to do its thing. Now, don't worry. I'm not going to make you sit here and wait for that, because that would take just a bit long, right? So I went ahead and ran our project beforehand, right? So you can see the prompt at the top, find the moments that are most likely to go viral on social media. Again, we got this from the help area, literally the highlight. And so one thing I want to call out is in your AI workflow, there is something that is included now from Gemini that is trending, right? And this is as of August 20th. So at the time of this live stream, if you're watching in the future, it is August 30th. You can decide, is this trend still relevant to jump on? As you can see, I've hearted this one, so it might have made sense and you might have seen it, right? We also talk about daily views. One thing he talked about recently is that they're averaging 200 billion with a B daily shorts views. And I think we're, just getting there. So this also would make sense, and we can read in our workflow, the hook is intriguing, the flow is good, the value, the trend, A-, right? So 99 out of 100, 98 out of 100. We've also talked about, pay more than a year's salary. I've seen some YouTube shorts get crazy amounts of sponsorships. Same with Instagram posts. I saw someone make 30 grand on one YouTube short, and that still blows my mind because that just shows what's possible out there, right? So this one would make sense, especially because, as I mentioned here, federal minimum wage in the US is $7.25. That's pretty much someone's salary on one piece of content, and that's crazy. So this is just some of the ways that you can include this in your workflow, right? We have our trending. So right now, YouTube Shorts monetization updates is causing this to be more trend friendly. And what I can do now is, let's say I really like this one. There's a lot I can do. As we know, in our workflow, I can go ahead and enhance speech. I can tell it to add B-roll. And before I even get in, by adding it here, what it's going to do is analyze and generate that B-roll for me. I'm also going to ask it to do things we've done before, like remove our filler words if we have any. 5 were removed. I want it to remove pauses in case I have any. 6 were removed. So those silences, those uhs, those pauses, they're gone. And we're editing quicker. We're in here. We are doing the things we need to do. And as we continue to look, it's going to generate that B-roll. and we can take a look at it, right? Now, I saw recently someone asked, is there a way that you can expand the B-roll? You can. You just drag it. So let's say I want to, make it a little bit longer. So and there we go. We have a little bit of an example of how this works. And you can see that Opus is switching between the two, between Roberto and I. We can still make sure. It might make more sense between these two to just focus on one of us. Or maybe this is where, we hide it with B-roll. And I noticed a little bit of a pause there. These are all things as we're working in our AI workflow that we can really define and go deeper, right? So there's this pause here. And that's just the natural delay that happens when you're doing a live anything. There's sometimes a delay between you and your speaker. So we might just do a quick cut here to get into that next bit. It may not have noticed this because it's not really a silent, because it's a more pass off, but again, we're editing. And I was able to hide it with the B-roll. I can put it here. Now, what I would say is, as I'm looking and I'm editing here, I also want to note that automatically in our workflow, our captions are moving with what is being shown on screen, right? So excited. We have Roberto, who is now on screen with me. We have the captions moving dynamically. We have, again, behind us is Roberto in full. And so those are the things that, we can easily do with our workflow that is just helping us go faster. And that's really kind of what Opus allows us to do, is get from a long form piece to immediately quicker results. That is helpful for us because the more we spend in increasing our knowledge of not only these tools, but how we can get better with our workflows, the faster we can create content. Now, I know that this is probably going to be a very solid piece, right? And I know Roberto knows his stuff. I'm going to go ahead, hit save changes, and going to come back to this later. So let's save those changes. This is going to save the progress we have thus far. And this is going to let us go deeper here. And if you notice, a lot of these, based on the prompt I gave it, they're higher performing. It's only looking for the best of the best, which is why, again, I'll make sure to put the prompt manual in the description and in the chat. It's so important that you do these things so that you can get even more, right? And as we're talking about workflows, there's something I really want to show next. And this is one of my favorite things to do within OpusClip, right? You may have noticed that I have a Clip Basic version of this, and all this does is analyze this whole, hour 17 video. And what we're going to do is part of my workflow, and it definitely saves you time. It is definitely one of those things that helps your content on YouTube. You're going to go up in the top right hand corner. Keep in mind, it's also going to load the same amount. We're going to download this transcript in a text file. We are going to save it here, make money. We now have that text file, and what we're going to do, because it was using Gemini before, I think, we saw it within OpusClip. I'm going to bring up Gemini. I'm going to go ahead and zoom on in. Might be a little too much, but hopefully for the demo purposes, it'll work. So what we're going to do is we're going to open that text file, right? And we are going to pull that up on screen. You can see that the only thing I would check, because I know sometimes it doesn't nail, is that, but that's something I should be able to add in Opus. That is a more me fault for not adding in OpusClip the way it should be spelt, but don't worry. I'll show you how to do that really quick. So we have downloaded the text file by going to our finalized project that we ran through. What I did was, in the home page, I said no captions, no cutting, just captions. We click on these three dots in the top right hand corner, click download transcript. You can also use the SRT file, it's your choice. But I want to make sure that it gets OpusClip right. I haven't added it. Actually, I have. So that's on. Wait, I added this resell. So here's what we're going to do. We have our text file. I'm going to tell it the length of what we just looked at. which for us was about an hour and 17 minutes. Help me make YouTube optimized chapters for search and AI based on this transcript. The video runtime is 1 hour and 17 minutes. And all of a sudden we have our workflow that's going fast. Now, there we go. This also might work better as I'm looking here. I might actually run this through ChatGPT because this is a very long file. So give me one moment. But the idea is the same, right? We're going to take that prompt, which I will make sure to share after, and we're going to run it through now through ChatGPT. And then we're going to do all of this over. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. And we're going to include this in our flow because this is part of our flow. We're going to go back to our text file, copy. We're going to scroll down. Thank you so much for watching. There we go. Works. And watch what happens in real time. It's going to run through and help us make these optimized YouTube chapters. And that's the best part. Now, while all that is going on and it is creating our plan, we can go back to Opus, go to my dashboard, and we should see within this that, hey, our Clip Anything project from before is done. And if you notice that it has newer trends, right? As of August 30th, this is now trending. So even if you've run a piece before, it might make sense if you're looking for new content. Yes, you can go back to your same project, but consider running it again. See what's trending that's different, right? We're talking about YouTube Shorts RPM versus long form videos here, and that is very different. So there are things that change, that update, and it's important that you take a look here. And I love that Opus can be that in my workflow. And so the beauty of this is now this clip is a little more relevant than when I ran it before, right? And if we look here, we have our YouTube chapters, we have our transcript, clean SEO focused chapters within moments, all from OpusClip, right within the workflow. And I think really when it comes down to how you can use this to speed up your workflow, you know, you go from a YouTube video, and a cool thing about this is, and I want to go full screen. One of the best things you can do in Opus, you can easily add within OpusClip a video you haven't published yet. If you have a rough version of a video you want to do, if you're just practicing, you can input your practice file into OpusClip, and it can help you make better content even in that. When you're getting used to getting started on camera, a lot of times it can be daunting to go ahead and edit a video when you're not even sure if you like your performance. OpusClip, with its workflow analyzer and with its virality score, can help you understand how it's doing. And if you do like how you said and you're like, hey, this is actually not bad, you can then ask it to edit it further, whether it's in short form or normal 16:9, which is something we're going to talk about in a later live stream. And again, we do these bi-weekly, right? So when it comes to understanding how you can use OpusClip in your workflow, these are just different ways that you can really use this AI to help you, future-proof your content. I showed with the trending example, this content is 2 weeks old, but was able to find relevant topics because it's plugging into other things that help in these ways, right? So overall, when you're using OpusClip in these manners, you can really go deep. You can really find things that are not only relevant when you did them, but also helps you in other aspects, right? This also works for videos. Now keep in mind, there is a total of a 2 hour at the time of this live stream limit of how long a video can be, but this is super helpful when it comes to how you want to easily do things, right? And because we can see the different areas, right? And this is trending more recently, YouTube Shorts monetization. We talk about what we're going to be discussing, right? And we talk about YouTube Shorts, TikTok ban, impact on YouTube. It shows you what's trending and why it's on the up. And another thing I want to call out is you can also edit these titles. Maybe you want to ask a question, right? There are different ways that you can use Opus to speed up this workflow, because I know titles. Morning show for YouTube, what's next? Maybe not. Maybe I do something more interesting focused, right? And again, you can play with it. You can work with it. Content creation hack, multiple platforms and hours. That's a lot better. I might like this clip. Another cool thing is, as you like clips or dislike them, you can filter them here. You can also sort your clips chronologically, or you can do by virality score. There are different ways you can do it. I like virality score because it gives me just a different viewpoint. You can go to the grid view if you want to see the trending ones quicker. And maybe you just want to go through and like, all right, I trust Opus. I want to just see which ones it thinks are trending. If I see that trending tab, I know it's for me. This is, again, if you look at how fast my workflow is and how I'm speeding this up. So looking here, those are the ones it says are trending. We then filtered by liked. And then this is one I liked before, so that's why it's there. All of a sudden, we have immediately only the ones that are trending. And again, this is helping us speed up because now we know that, okay, of this live stream that is now 2 weeks old, these are the ones that are currently going to most likely do the best right now. And anytime we can find content like this fast, efficiently, quickly, that's what it's all about. It is about making sure when it comes to optimizing everything that we are doing the things like this, where focusing on ways to be faster, ways to be smarter, and ways to be way more efficient. And even while we're talking now, I'm kind of showing you some behind the scenes things of how I work, right? Like that YouTube chapters thing. I use that on all my live streams now, as long as they're, under time. But even then, there's kind of something you could do. If you have like maybe a 4-hour live stream, you can run it in 2 chunks. You can do 2 hours at the start and then the later 2 hours. You can pick what times you want it to read. So again, that does cost credits, but you can try the free trial in the description down below. There are other ways you can do it. And what I'll say is when you get an in using this tool, it's so much more than just creating shorts. It's so much more than, just these things. What I see is, Opus is a great shorts tool or a clipping tool, and that's great. That's what it started as, but it's now a full editor and now does so much more than when we started. And it's, it recently celebrated 2 years. Here's to many more. And my question is to you, what are you using OpusClip for in your day-to-day workflow? I'm using it to save me time, not only on shorts, I'm also starting to use it for compilations, and that's been exciting, as we saw earlier in our workflow earlier in the stream. I'm also using OpusClip for chapters. I'm using OpusClip to help me find viral moments, and that's why it is so crucial to include these things in your workflow, especially when you're using or trying to start using AI. I like OpusClip because it's very friendly, it's very fast, and it's focused on what creators need, whether on YouTube or beyond. So let me know in those comments down below, have you been using OpusClip? Are you going to give Agent Opus a try, the thing that we have shown off a little bit early here in this live stream? I'm curious. With that, I'm Andrew Can. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.